Emphasis on the nuts. You probably still need to learn how to wipe your ass. It might smell after that. Passengers might not appreciate that, especially if you do that right in front of them. Oh, bitch! Get out the way! Cranked! Gotta crank them! Welcome back to Ryan Campbell Soup to Nuts. Emphasis on the nuts and not in the anatomy way, more in the headspace kind of way. So would you like to learn how to put a Pioneer head unit, that will apply to other head units as well, into your 350Z? Would you? Because that's what you're about to learn and I'm about to show you. So that's what I'm doing. For those of you who aren't aware, I have a twin turbo 350Z project build that I'm doing, and I'm getting very close to being able to starting it up. And then I still have to get it tuned anyway, and I still have to paint. I have a body kit I put on, I already had it fit and everything, I have to paint it. Ton of work done in the cars. Check out my other videos, I appreciate it. I'll put like a playlist up here for you. Or no, it's up here. I'll put a playlist up here for you. But check all that crap out. Ton of work done to the car, but we're on the home stretch. I'm on the home stretch. So hopefully we'll have running videos soon, so it'll get a lot cooler for you. Viewing pleasure. Today I got a Pioneer head unit, brand new. I'm going to be putting it installing it into the 350Z, and I'll probably also be putting in like the instrument cluster, or I made an instrument cluster for the aftermarket gauges, it was formerly the cubby. But like that whole piece I'm going to be putting in, and be putting in the gauges that I have as well. But main gist of the video is installing Pioneer head unit.
You are tuned in to Ryan Campbell Soup to Nuts.
That was a bit of a lengthy intro, don't you think? I got a little carried away, as I do sometimes. And if you like this video, or any of the damn videos, please consider subscribing down here. Your boy would appreciate it. Hook a brother up. Onto the main part of the video really is installing the Pioneer head unit. I'm going to be including in the video, also putting in the aftermarket gauges I have. I have an AEM air fuel gauge, and then I have 3 Defi gauges, oil pressure, oil temperature, and boost. So I have, it's basically, I made like a custom little cubby. It's where the cubby was in the 350Z. But it's like, you know, I just built like a gauge holder and, you know, fit them all in there. So you'll see it in a little while. But the main thing is the Pioneer head unit, which I'll show you right here. This is the head unit I got. It is for the audio nerds out there, DMH 1500 NEX. So I've had a bunch of Pioneers in the past, and I've always been happy with the quality of Pioneer. And it's, you know, I've always had good luck with it, so I've been sticking with them for a while. So this is going to be the Gorilla touchscreen I'm going to be throwing into the car. I have a similar unit. I forgot the exact model number, but it's a pretty similar unit in my daily, which is a Nissan Murano. So it's kind of has like similar where the buttons are kind of down along here. It's all touchscreen. They both have Apple CarPlay, which is phenomenal. Apple CarPlay will change your life. And they both have hands-free calling, so that's one of the things I have to do before finishing. I have my interior I still have to put fully back together. I have most of it done, but I do have to run the wire for the mic up high, so that way I could speak and people could hear me when I'm on the phone, when I'm on my smartphone. But first thing I do, obviously besides opening the boxes up, is the wiring harness. So I got this guy. I didn't even open up the package yet, but basically it will be like an interface. This will plug into the vehicle harness, like the factory stereo harness, and then the other end will plug into, Pioneer has a harness that plugs into the back of their unit that has all the wires for all the speakers and power and all that good crap. So that will be coming out, and that will plug into here. So it's basically like a go-between between the Pioneer head unit and the factory harness. That way you don't have to go crazy running new wires throughout the whole car. This is a godsend, absolute godsend, makes it a lot easier. So first thing I do is solder all the wires together, and I'm a big solderer. I don't like crimps and all that stuff, because I've had crimps come apart on me in the past. One time I was on a road trip, and sorry for the tangent, but one time I was on a road trip, and one of the wires, I think it was a power wire, came like in the dash, came apart. So, lost the radio for the rest of the road trip. This is fun. I actually made a stop at Home Depot. I had to buy a bunch of crap to be able to pull it out and kind of temporarily put it back together. So, I mean, that was fun, just spending extra money for no damn reason. So first thing we're going to do is wiring. So I'll get it all set up and then show you. I'm kind of set up here. Kind of walk you through what to do. When I bought the radio from Crutchfield, I have used them for years and years and years, and they are awesome. Great customer service. The prices are pretty much the same as everywhere else. But you do get a free install kit, free like mounting kit, and you also get a free wire harness. And this is the wire harness part, and it saves you a ton of time and aggravation and headache. This thing is golden. It's worth its weight. Even if you have to just buy this. It'll save you so much time and aggravation, and it'll make sure it'll give you less problems and you'll less opportunity to make a mistake, because this really walks you along. I should have printed this out. This is the email, the installation instructions now. It's not in the box or anything. I honestly should have printed this out on my computer, but I'm just looking at it on my phone. Basically, this is for this here. These two plug into the car harness, into the factory harness. So these two plug in. This is the install kit that came that Crutchfield supplies. It's not made by them, but they give it to you free if you buy a radio from them. So this coordinates with this. So on the diagram, it goes through each color, because they're all color coordinated, goes through each color and tells you exactly what each color does. So then what you want to do is, this came with the radio. This is the manual. And I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. It's kind of small print, but it goes through each color and what it does. So what you want to do is just find out what a color does. They're often the same color, not always, so you have to read and double check. But look at the color, what it does, match. Look on here, the color, what it does, match those two, put them together. And basically just go down the list and do all of it. There's a couple I'm not using. Amplifier turn on. I'm not using because I don't have an external amp. I am using it actually for this, and what this is a because the touchscreen radios and everything nowadays, you can play video and stuff on them, but you have to have your parking brake up, so that way they know you're not driving. What this does is basically just kind of is like a shortcut, so I don't have to have my parking brake up. It just kind of loops it around and it makes it think that it's in park at all times, but it's not. So the amplifier turn on is going to connect to one of these wires, and then one of the wires connects to the parking brake, which is going to be this. This isn't the actual parking brake, but this is, in the harness, this is what would go to the parking brake. And then the other one is ground, which I'm going to connect a few grounds together. And then I'm also wiring in this. What this is a quick charge 3.0 for a phone mount that I'm going to be putting in the car. So this will provide power for that, especially because there's no cigarette lighter on the... Sorry, battery died. I think I just went over this at the end of that before the battery died. So one's for the parking brake wire, one goes to the amp turn on, and one's for ground. So that's that. So I think there's another one that I'm not using. Power antenna. As the 350Z doesn't have a power antenna, it just has a stationary antenna, and there's no power to go up and down or anything like that. So I don't have to worry about that. And in this particular harness, not all of them are like this. Most of them you have to wire the speaker wires together. This is what plugs into the back of the radio. These are all the speaker wires. I just twisted them together to kind of help me keep this organized a little bit because it gets a little messy with all these wires. I don't have to solder these together because these have RCA jacks that's going to plug right into the back of the radio. So these are going to plug right into the back of the radio, so I don't have to solder anything together, so it's going to go right from the factory harness, and this is just going to plug right into the radio. So I don't have to worry about going through the harness. So basically that's what you do. So you just go one by one, just make sure you're connecting the right thing, power, constant power to constant power. One thing in the manual they say, in case you're not familiar with their language, here it says yellow, to terminal supplied with power regardless of ignition switch position. That's constant power. That means you have power at all times. The other one would be red, to electric terminal controlled by ignition switch. That's ignition power. On here, what they call it on here. See, one they call it, the yellow is constant power, 12 volt constant power. And the other one is 12 volt switch power. So it's switched by the ignition switch. So you can kind of figure out the language a little bit. But basically, you just want to go through, match each one, and then solder them all together. I'm putting this in with this power terminal. I'm going to wire the power end of this into the switch power, because I don't want this on at all times. I only want it on when I have the key on in the car, and then when I turn the key off, boom, off. And this just goes to a ground. There's a few other, like the gauges have a ground. There's a few things I have to ground, like in the dashboard or behind, like underneath, behind the whole radio and everything like that. So that's going to get grounded. So at this point, I'm just going to go through, just do one thing in it, one wire at a time, and just start soldering and just go at it. Got the wire harness all done here, got it nice and tidied up. So these two, again, they plug into the factory harness. These 4 wires are for the speakers, and these are going to plug into the back of the head unit. I did have to call Crutchfield to figure out which ones go where, because, you know, there's like front, I don't know which colors are which right now, but let's say like front left, front right, rear left, rear right. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on those exact things, but I wrote it down what each one goes, and they told me what on the back of the radio which one goes where. So their customer service is awesome. So basically, so those are speaker wires. I got it all nice and tidied up, taped it to keep it all organized because it's a mess in the dash anyway. So this is one of the grounds. This is the ground for the power adapter that I'm going to be putting in for the car, the phone mount. And this is a power wire that's keyed power, ignition power for the phone mount battery, the charger cord for the phone mount that I'm going to be putting in. So there's the harness. Harness is all ready to go. Next thing I have to do is take the actual radio and put it into here. This is out of the other 350Z that I had the accident with, and I did have a very similar Pioneer unit as well, so I already have the trim bezel already in. This black smaller piece here is part of the installation kit that comes with it, but it was already in here, so this is already good to go. It did have, kind of see right there, like right below my wrist, you see like a little white spot. It did have a few tabs on it that I did have to kind of like break off, and I used like a fine file to clean up. But you can't notice anything wrong from the front. And you can see those little like ovalish tab things. They plug right into the factory brackets. These brackets here, the metal brackets, these are off the factory radio, so I had to take these off the factory radio. So when you take this all out of the car, the radio is going to come out with it, and this holds the radio in. So you're going to take, there's like screws going to the side of the factory radio, so you take the screws out and get rid of the factory radio. But you have to maintain, you have to use these again for putting in the other radio, the radio here. So basically, I'm just going to put this over this, and then I'll show you once I have it all screwed together what it looks like. But basically, I'm just going to take this, lift it up and over carefully, so I want to scratch the screen carefully and place it over, and then line up the holes on the side. There's like tons of holes here that you could screw into, because, you know, for different cars, different mounts, all that crap. So pick the ones that will fit the best and hold the radio in the proper position. And it does come with provided screws. So use these screws, put them in position, and screw it off. And I'm going to do that now off camera and come back and show you what it should look like. Got the radio in, as you can see. Got the radio in. I have to peel that plastic off. I'll do that later. But basically, on each side, I got 3 screws. 1, 2, 3. Same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3. So those 3 are holding the radio, the head unit here, into like the cage, and the cage is attached to the plastic, and the plastic's all gonna get clipped in. So now what I gotta do, I gotta run a few things. This is the speaker, the microphone actually, the microphone for Bluetooth calling that I really like in my car. So I have to run this. I'll show you where I run that in a second. The grounds, there's a couple in the harness, and there's I think a couple in the car for the gauges and boost controller. I might go use maybe this, or there might be another spot that's like metal. You want something that's, you know, metal. It's attaching to the car to put your ground screws on. So I might put it on here. There might be a better spot that I don't remember right now. But that's where I'm going to do the grounds. So basically, when I screw this in, I'm just going to put all, you know, the ground eyelets, as you can see, these guys. I'm going to put those guys, ground them all out, so that way everything's grounded. And then the only other thing I have to do, which I already have them basically ran, I have the USB that so I could hook my phone up, or any other USB thing I have like in the glove box that's behind the passenger seat. So I already have that wire ran, and also auxiliary cord I have ran. So I just got to plug it straight into the back, and they're already ran. I just have to get them in place and do it. And do the damn thing. The microphone. Obviously, this is where the radio is going to be. So I'm going to run it kind of back behind here, run along underneath here, probably zip tie it off a little. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me, sir. Run along here, probably zip tie. This stuff has to be zip tied off a little bit better anyway. I'm just waiting to get all this in place, and then, because it's like all the gauge wiring and whatnot. So I'll do that. Run it up here. Up here you can see this is the wire for the radar detector. So basically run it kind of along that. And then use a plastic like trim removal tool to kind of pull the headliner down slightly, just to tuck it into the headliner, and then have it pop out. I'll probably put it just on the left side of the rear view mirror on the glass. I'll just put like a, you know, like 3M double-sided tape on the glass, like high up, pointed towards me. It has like a little ball pivot on it, so that way you could kind of like, you know, turn in direction a little bit. But that's what we're gonna do. And then that power outlet that I've been telling you about, I think I'm gonna be able to mount it like here, and then just run the wire here and then out of this vent. So I'll just have the USB cable just popping out of that vent, because that's where I'm going to put the phone mount. And then I have, this is the USB I have going back here. You can see it's in there. There's also an auxiliary cord in there. And so I have it like ran down through here all the way underneath the center console. It's going to be, you know, go up behind the radio. And there's the auxiliary, as you can see. So I have those two just kind of hanging out here. So I just have to route them a little bit better and plug them in, and then plug all this other crap into the back of the gauges. As you can see, I have a ground here. I have another ground here. I think that's the only two, but I'll double check to make sure it's not a third. and then just plug everything in. Alright, I got the baby girl all tucked in nice and pretty. So, got it all hooked up, installed. Here we have, this is the boost gauge, this is oil temp, this is oil pressure, and this is air fuel ratio. I know the glare is kind of screwing up, I'll get you a better angle. There you go. So, these three are Defi, and this one is AEM. Obviously all the stock stuff up there. I still haven't taped down, it is hooked up and everything, but I still haven't taped down the Greddy Profect B boost controller. I'm thinking I'm probably going to put it right here, but I'm not 100% positive yet, so that's why I haven't taped it. But I'm leaning towards right there. Kind of covering the speedometer a little bit, because I usually use the speedometer on here. This is like a multi-gauge that has a whole bunch of different functions, for different things about the car, temperature, all sorts of crap you could run through. It has like a timer thing set in, but I've never used, like a lap timer or something like that. I've never used that function, but I usually have it set for the speed, so that way I could just see quickly glance and see the digital speed. So I probably won't, have a problem if that's a little bit covered, if it's harder to see while I'm driving. But got this all tucked in. So basically, putting this back in, there's like a tab like right here, like on underneath, like in the back, and one right here, and then there's like a guide kind of tab at the top. So you kind of push the top in, then you kind of snap this and that into place. Then after that, you get everything positioned right, and then there's 4 screws. There's one here, one there, and then one there, and one there. And I have the ground screws, the grounds hooked in. I honestly probably should have combined these grounds into like 1 or 2 wires, but hindsight's 20/20, whatever, it'll work fine. But basically it's screwed into the metal frame of the car. So I got 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. Now this guy here, there's a hole here and a hole right there that I'll screw into that, so I'll put that in. This is like the HVAC controls for the car. I'm gonna mount that into place, and obviously I have to finish. I still have to run the microphone up, so every car is a little different, but here you could do it on either side, honestly, but it's a little easier, all the wires on this side. So I'm going to run it up. This is where the A-pillar cover goes. So this is obviously popped off, so I'm going to run it up here and then run it underneath, tuck it into the headliner kind of right along with the radar detector wire. So I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to tape it to the windshield. And then I just have to zip tie, this stuff, just organize it a little bit, but, it's nothing you need to see on camera. And then I'll start putting the plastics back together, but that'll be another video. It's getting pretty close. I'm still waiting on, I did order a custom, like, shift boot cover, whatever the hell you call it, and an e-brake cover. So I'm waiting on them to come in before I finish all the plastics up the center, putting them in. But it's coming together, and I'll probably wait. Honestly, the seats will probably be like the last thing I'll throw in, like just before I'm like taking it to the tuner. Not too much before. I might test drive it up and down the block. If it runs and runs kind of okay, I might just go up and down the block with it, make sure it goes through the gears and all that crap, just to make sure it's basically driving pretty much okay, and suspensions, everything's functioning, brakes work, all that crap. I'll probably just up and down the block a few times, but I'll probably just put the seats in for that. But that'll be when I'm getting like really close with taking it to the tuner. So the seats will be like the last thing I'm throwing in here. I'm going to have everything else pretty much buttoned up at that point. I'm going to show you with the radio what to plug in the back in the manual. It's really straightforward, so I'll show you that, and then we'll do a little video exit. In the Pioneer manual, this is what comes with the radio. Basically, so this is the first page. This is actually page 3. You see this. Hopefully we can get it good. This is basically the back of the radio, just like a, it's not exactly a picture, just like a diagram. Crutchfield these are RCA jacks here. Crutchfield told me which ones to use, so I did call them and get tech support to find that out. So they told me that. And then it does go with the numbers. I know it's hard to see on camera because it's so damn small, but you can see numbers, and the numbers are coordinated. So basically what I have plugged in, I have the USB, which is like right here. I have the auxiliary cord, which is like right here. I have the microphone, which is like right here. And I have the main harness plugs in here, like that harness that I built and soldered together that I showed you. The one end plugs into the factory harness, wiring harness, dash harness. And the other end plugs in right here into the back of the head unit. There are other hookups for different things that I'm not personally using. Oh, and the antenna. Antenna goes right there. That's the antenna that's in the dash, factory antenna. So that gets plugged in right there. So you saw the harness. You saw it has RCA cables on it. USB. You should know what the hell a USB plug looks like. But for that's so you could hook your phone up to it for Apple CarPlay or Google Play or whatever the hell Google calls it, Android, whatever it is. I'm an Apple guy, so I know Apple better. USB plugs in there, and then auxiliary cord. You should know what the hell aux is. If not, you probably still need to learn how to wipe your ass. That's the point you're at in your life, and you probably shouldn't be watching my videos either, because you're definitely far too young to watch my videos. So the USB aux goes in there. That mic that I just showed you that I'm going to run up to the windshield and tape on the windshield, like by the rearview mirror, sort of. That came with the radio, came with the head unit. So you just plug it into the back of there, and then run the wire wherever the hell you're running it. You could do whatever the hell you want. You could shove it up your ass for all I care. It might smell after that, and your passengers might not appreciate that, especially if you do that right in front of them. Especially if it's family or something like that. That doesn't go over very well. Don't do that on Thanksgiving either. It ruins the whole damn day, and everybody's pissed at each other. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mom. That basically gives you everything you need to know on the back of the radio. That wire harness that I made, the one end of the plugs that plugs into the factory plugs. You're just looking for plugs that look, like the other end of that plug, like the female end of that plug, or male, I don't know which one it was. You're just looking for the matching one of it, and it's just, they look basically the same. So you're just looking for that. Move, bitch! Get out the way! Sorry about that. I had an intruder alert. So that's how you put a Pioneer head unit. It'll apply probably pretty close to a lot of other manufacturers. I just haven't done all the different brands and whatnot. But that's the basic steps you take for putting a head unit into a 350Z. Every car is a little bit different. I'll link a video on my daily car is a Nissan Murano, a 2007 Nissan Murano, and I did do a video of putting almost the same head unit, a very similar head unit, into the Murano. And there was some additional steps just because of the way the dash is and everything like that. There's a few different things about it. The way it's kind of configured and the way the HVAC controls are and all that crap. So I'll link that video up here for you. Check it out. So next coming up, probably going to see me putting the rest of the interior back together. I have to redo the intercooler piping now, or a couple of the pieces. It didn't fit right, so I'm going to have to redo them. So that's going to be coming up. I don't know what order things are going to be in, but that's going to be coming up soon. That's kind of holding up finishing putting the horns and the front bash borer on the car. Because I want to get the intercooler piping all situated and tightened down and cranked. Gotta crank them. Gotta get them all tight and snug. And other than that, some interior stuff. There are some other videos coming up. I got one coming up soon on the truck I'm working on. I'm waiting on parts at this point, but I had the hydro boost. My brake booster was leaking fluid. So I had to replace some seals. I'm waiting on that at this point, but that's kind of like half filmed right now, so that's going to be coming up. And I have a few things also I have to do to the aforementioned Murano. So I have to do a few things to that as well. So we're going to have some little mishmash coming up, but I'll keep you entertained! As long as I don't get a hold of my proper medication. Because then it'll mellow down. Mellow. You'll see mellow, Ryan. So if you like the video, which you better, damn it, please consider subscribing down here. Please give me a like and a comment, all that crap. I respond to all the comments. Check out my other socials. It's down in the description. And with that being said, I appreciate you very much. And don't forget, drive fast, take chances.